Hello, Dancing with the Stars fans. I'm Daniel Montgomery, Gold Derby editor here with our contributors Jeffrey Kare and Cordell Martin to discuss Dancing with the Stars season 30, episode 2, which was first elimination night. The scores from week 1 and week 2 were combined to determine who would be sent home. And as we all kind of expected last week, and we're not surprised to find this week, it was Martin Kove, veteran actor from Cobra Kai and The Karate Kid. I don't know how much there is to say, but Cordell, what did you think about that?
Yeah, like we talked about last week, I'm not surprised. I would have been shocked if he wasn't in the bottom 2. I mean, the writing unfortunately was on the wall for him, so yeah.
And what about you, Jeffrey?
Yeah, so I wasn't surprised nor sad to see him go either. I mean, even he admitted on the show that his performance from last week wasn't any good, and when what he tried to do this week, well, hey, sorry, only young Matthew Broderick and Ferris Bueller's Stay Off can dance to that song pretty well.
Yeah, it was. I felt really like he gave it his all. Like in his second performance, he looked like he was having fun, and he wasn't taking it or himself too seriously. It seemed like he was really trying. So I don't want to be too down on him, but yeah, like you put the two scores together, he scored 28 total. And to consider, Amanda Klutz just this week scored 32 in just one dance, and Jojo Siwa scored 31. So when you're trying to catch the front runners with two dances put together and you can't quite do it, it wasn't going to go very well. And he didn't seem to have very much of a fan base. But the difficult thing for me, at least, is that now it makes next week super difficult to predict. One, because the next week's scores we don't know yet, so we're not adding 2 weeks' scores together, so we don't know what to expect from the dancers yet. As we're recording this, it's Tuesday night, the day after the show, so we don't know the dance styles yet, which can make or break. And it's hard to know who has a fan base, because like the bottom middle feels fairly evenly matched. At least in terms of dance skills. Like you could see without Martin Kove there, the bottom 5 or 6 dancers scoring within like 2 or 3 points of each other. Just looking ahead to next week, Cordell, who do you think is vulnerable?
Ooh, definitely Christine. I know we discussed her possibly being in the bottom 2 last week. And unfortunately, I think she's a solid dancer, but I don't think she will have the fan support to really take her further down the competition. Kenya, I could see possibly be in danger just because with the housewives, they kind of fizzle out after, the first couple of weeks. Let's see who else. Brian Austin Green could be another one. Clearly, he's just on the show just to please his girlfriend. I mean, I just don't really see the passion of him really embracing the show. So I could see him being an early exit. And let's see. I mean, those are the ones right now. Melora is someone that I think probably week 5 or 6 could see herself in the bottom, but I think she has a pretty good cushion right now, just in terms of, those lower tier dancers still in the mix. So,
what about you, Jeffrey? Who do you think might be in jeopardy?
Well, I agree with a lot of what Cordell just said. I mean, Brian Austin Green better pray that his Beverly Hills 90210 fan base keeps blowing through for him. Same with Valor Hard and with The Office, and I guess Kenya as well with Real Housewives. And yeah, Christine, I can definitely see her being vulnerable because it's a question of how strong of a fan base she has. It may not be enough for her to make it far. And well, I mean, I guess early on I would have said Cody, but I thought the rehearsal performance they had to utilize since Cheryl Berg was tested positive for COVID-19. Well, I thought their rehearsal performance came off pretty well, and the fact that they were safe, well, I mean, it should be interesting to see how that does for them, especially as Cheryl hopefully should be fully recovered from COVID-19 next week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what will happen. I don't think Cheryl will be able to perform next week's show, and I think they have a plan in place for that, which I will try to look up. If I think our colleague Joy Sang wrote about that today. I'm not sure if it's been published yet, but while I look that up, well, let's talk about who's not in Jeopardy. Certainly Amanda Klutz had the highest scoring dance on Monday night. I was predicting that to happen once I saw the dance styles, because she had a foxtrot, and that seemed, she's a Broadway performer. That seemed perfectly in her wheelhouse. And what's more, she ended up dancing to a song that was very personal to both her and her late husband, Nick Cordero, which I think really helped put her on the map. Cordell, what did you think about her performance and maybe her chances going forward in the season?
Yeah, I thought her dance was spectacular. It was a no-brainer once, to your point, I saw the dance style that she was assigned to. I think she can definitely go all the way. It will depend on how she fares with the faster Latin dances. If she can knock those out the park, I think she'll be great. My only note for the producers is please, 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 please do not make every week about her husband. I just don't want her to be slighted on her journey because of the producer's manipulation. Like, please show more of Amanda, please showcase her journey. Just so that way fans won't turn on her and think she's just relying on her husband's unfortunate passing to, get her to that Mirabelle trophy.
Yeah, what did you think about her performance and her chances, Jeffrey?
Well, I thought her performance was glorious this week, and yeah, you can definitely tell that dancing the song clearly meant a lot to her. And well, yes, I can definitely understand not about having not her make her journey all about Nick Cordero, and well, I mean, obviously, all the updates she was giving on his health while he was battling and dying from COVID-19 was obviously gave her so much notoriety. And I mean, I do agree that yes, you should really, maybe keep Nick Cordero as part of her journey, but it's not like the main focus. But yeah, I do think she does have potential to really go all the way. I mean, I will say, as of now, I personally see, I guess, the champion right now between her and Jojo. I think they both have rooting factors. They both have strength in the ballroom. I think they both have fan bases to back them up. So that's where I'm at in terms of who I think is going to win right now.
Yeah, I think Klutz has potential. I agree that they shouldn't make her entire journey about her husband. Just because, why put her through that? Like, he passed away more than a year ago. She has surely been mourning. Like, this should also be something that's fun for her. And I hope they don't milk that for drama. Although, we've seen similar things in the past, that I think they handled pretty well. Like Bindi Irwin, they had moments of tributes to her father. So there have been contestants who have had these experiences, and they've been handled reasonably respectably. And the fact that Amanda has already come out so strong with 2 dances in a row, she's I'm pretty sure no matter where she ends up, she'll be one of the higher scoring dancers of the season. So I really feel like just kind of letting her be her will be exciting. And it'll be interesting to see comparing that to Jojo Siwa, who is another one I think is a front runner, who has had 2 very fast-paced, fun dances, and we haven't gotten to see her do the more elegant, routines yet. And for Klutz, it's the opposite. She's done the elegant routines. We haven't seen her do something more fast-paced or a Latin dance. Cordell, how do you think Jojo would handle one of the slow routines?
That's what I'm very interested to see how that will take place, especially with her age. Oftentimes with the younger contestants, getting a sexy rumba or a contemporary, it's very challenging for them, just because it's hard for them to really tap into that type of emotion. Because they're teenagers, so they really haven't had that real life experience to draw from. But it will be very interesting to see. I think she'll be able to pull it off because she is a trained dancer. So at least she'll be able to sell the dance. For me, it's just very interesting and exciting to see her just because of the unique partnership with her and Jenna. You're just curious, at least for me, every week, like how they're going to pull it off, how they're going to pull off this dance style. So at least she has that going, that, curiosity factor for a lot of fans.
What do you think, Jeffrey, about seeing JoJo do some of those more elegant, slower styles?
Well, I think she has potential to pull it off. It should be interesting to see. And besides, and yes, to Cordell's points, yeah, I think, moving forward and watching her throughout the competition, it should be interesting to see, all the different stuff she and Jenna could pull off. It's already big enough that they're same-sex partners, and again, I do think, I don't know if they'll 100% pull it off, but I do think they do have potential.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested in seeing throughout the season what styles of dance they give them specifically, because in these first 2 weeks, we've seen the fast-paced, fun dances. It feels like, are they going to give them a rumba? Are they going to give them a tango? These dances that have much more romantic connotations to them. Is that something that the producers are going to be scared of with two same-sex dancers? So I'm going to be very interested in seeing how that develops. If we keep getting week after week, if it's jazz next, and then if we keep getting these dances that are very performative, but there's no sense of that intimacy between the partners in that way. I'm like, by about week 4, I might start to cry foul if things are starting to look that way. Just because, the dancers need a variety of dances to show what they can do, to show their expressiveness on the dance floor, and they should be afforded that opportunity. But I do not want to get on the producer's case now before that happens, but I got my eyes on them. I will say I did look up what the plan was for next week for Cheryl and Cody, which is that Cheryl will be will be choreographing and teaching Cody a new dance from afar. Cody looks like will have a substitute pro, provided he doesn't test positive, because obviously he was in close contact with Cheryl. So I don't know how long she had been positive, what the window was that she could have been contagious while they were training. So I assume they're going to be watching him, monitoring him as well throughout the week. And we'll find out next week if he should be able to show up in the ballroom. So that will be interesting. We've seen substitute pros before when pros have gotten injured or sidelined for any particular reason. So that won't be too unusual, but it will be interesting to see. I do think it helped Cody kind of put him on the map in a sense, that this happened to both of them. I was not surprised that they were safe, because that story was such a huge deal this week. And people, I think, are going to have their eyes on him and see how he does from here on out, given those difficult circumstances. So not to be cynical about it, but I feel like, now COVID, Cheryl got COVID, great news for Cody. But I think it does help him stand out in a field where, let's be honest, the women are wiping the floor with the men. I was just looking at the leaderboard from the first 2 weeks after they were added up, and women drastically outscored the men. The the bottom six contestants over the first 2 weeks were all men. And let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the top 9 were women.
Wow.
So it's almost a perfect split, male and female from top to bottom. The only male dancer who is and he's not even that high, he's in the middle of the pack, is The Miz, ironically, is actually the highest scoring man after 2 weeks. And the lowest scoring woman is Kenya. And they're tied. They have the same score for 2 weeks. So it's pretty stark. We do sometimes see this kind of divide, but it's rarely this sharp. Where it's like all the men are not as good and all the women are much better, or at least slightly better. What do you think about that, Cordell?
Yeah, I mean, as we talked before, like we're not surprised by that. However, I could definitely start seeing a lot of the women, dropping like flies, because as we mentioned, a lot of the men just have that personality that's going to take them really far. Like I could see The Miz, I can see Iman, I could see Jimmy Allen, definitely make it to like top 6, and maybe 1 or 2 or maybe all 3 could make it to the finals. I mean, just looking at the past couple seasons, and as we've talked before, it's not about the best dancer. For most people, it's about the person with the biggest personality or the biggest growth throughout the show.
Or the person from The Bachelor.
Why don't you go to Matt James?
No. If there's one person who needs to go next week, it's Matt. And he got so lucky that he got Samba, the Dance of Death, on week 2. But yeah, let me not get sidetracked about that. But I could definitely see, one of those 3 guys definitely kind of spoiling the fun for the ladies throughout the season.
Yeah. What do you think about that gender divide, Jeffrey?
Well, I mean, women have always been, I guess women have often been more successful in dancing than men. And as for The Miz, well, I mean, he's a professional wrestler, so I mean, wrestling and dancing are obviously not the same thing, but what they do have in common is they at least provide a ton of physicality for someone to do. And well, yeah, Cordell made some great points of how women may just drop like flies, while the men were not as good as the women, do have more personality going for them. But I mean, it should be interesting to see how the rest of the competition goes. Like if the men can improve, or if their personalities can save them, or if it's them who drop like flies instead of the women.
Yeah, and to Cordell's point, the fact that Christine was in the bottom 2 was significant, because all those men I mentioned who scored below her had more votes to get out of the bottom 2. Iman, Matt James, Brian Austin Green, Cody Rigsby, Jimmy Allen all had lower scores than Christine Chu. So so we know that she doesn't have the fan base there. And I honestly, I think she's guaranteed in the bottom 2 unless she has like the number 1 score of the night, possibly. Just a matter of who joins her. I am also worried about Melora. I don't know that the Office fan base is going to turn out for Dancing with the Stars for her. And I think she'll need the score to keep her cushioned, because she had a huge score over the first 2 weeks. She was the 5th highest scored dancer over the first 2 weeks of the competition. That's a pretty substantial cushion. If she doesn't have that, if she's a middle of the pack dancer one week, that'll be a test to see how she does. Melanie C, the Spice Girls were wonderful, huge fan base 25 years ago. How much of a fan base do they still have is going to show up for Dancing with the Stars. It's really hard to say with a lot of these things, and then you get people who like Matt, who shall not be named, James, who he only has so many ways that he can take off his shirt during a performance. but he has the built-in fan base with Bachelor Nation, which we've seen will carry a grocery store Joe into a top 5. It's be insane. I think we're going to see a lot of men stick around and a lot of surprise eliminations of women. Surprise in the sense that I have a feeling we're going to see some higher scoring women go before we see some of these lower scoring men go.
Yep.
Which is concerning, but on a more positive note, then let's kind of close by looking ahead to Britney Spears Night, which is we know is the theme that we're going to see next week. Obviously Britney Spears has been in the news lately because of her conservatorship and because of the Framing Britney Spears documentary. A lot of people reevaluating how she has been sort of treated and viewed by the media and viewed in her celebrity. But also has a huge song catalog. So Cordell, what are you looking forward to from Britney Spears Night?
Yeah, I think next week is going to be a lot of up-tempo dances. So I can guarantee we'll probably see a couple jazz routines, which will help a lot of the contestants. We'll probably see a lot of cha-chas and paso doble. So it's going to be a very high energy week for contestants.
How about you, Jeffrey?
Oh, it'd be interesting to see what the production values for each of the dances are going to be like. I imagine for whoever gets toxic, the lady is going to have to dress like a stewardess, obviously. And as for, I'll be curious to see who gets which song and what production values there'll be, as I just mentioned, and as well as how each of them are all approached.
Yeah, I'm sure someone's getting toxic. It's just a matter of who. Like, I can't tell if that would be like the song you want or the song you don't want, just because like that's arguably her most iconic song. So do you really want to have that pressure to live up to of that song? I also do hope that they pick some of her, like I want I'm Britney bitch, I want to hear that on Dancing with the Stars
more. Yes.
I don't think they would, but I would love to see if you see Amy on on Dancing with the Stars.
Give it to JoJo.
Give it to JoJo. Give it to JoJo, and that'll be a rumba or an Argentine tango. Just get the legs wrapping around and just scare Middle America off of Dancing with the Stars for good, and so that it's just ours now.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to that. Hard to say who's gonna be eliminated, hard to say who's gonna win, but that's kind of a good thing. No offense to Martin Kove, but like he was pulling down the average of the dances this season. So now we have what already feels like with still 14 people left, a significantly even competition. So looking forward to see what happens there. And with that, thank you, Jeffrey and Cordell, for joining me. Thank you to everyone for watching, and we will see you again next week.